Hi, this is Sell Your Business for Millions, and I'm Eric Gilbord, your host. Today's episode is titled EBITDA is a Lie, the hidden value drivers that add millions to your check. So, welcome back. Today we're talking about the holy grail of business sales, the multiple. If you've ever sat down with a broker, a business broker, or an accountant, you've heard the term EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. It's a mouthful, right? Basically, it's just a fancy way of saying how much cash is this business actually spitting out before the government and the banks take their cut, and you know they will. Most founders think the math is simple. They think, okay, my EBITDA is $1 million. The industry average multiple is 4x. Therefore, my business is worth $4 million. It's pretty easy calculation. I get it. But here's the $1 million secret. Literally, the multiple is not a math equation. It's really a scorecard. It's a measure of how much risk a buyer feels when they look at your company. I've seen two companies in the exact same industry with the exact same $1 million profit. One sold for $3 million and the other sold for $7 million. Why, you ask? Because the first company was a risky million and the second was a predictable million. Today, we're going behind the spreadsheet to find the hidden value drivers that add a zero to your potential check that you're going to receive when you sell your business. The customer concentration death trap. Let's start with the silent killer of deals, customer concentration. We all have that one whale client. You know the one. They represent 30 to 40%, maybe even 50% or more of your total revenue. You love them. You take them to steak dinners. You answer their texts at 10 p.m. on a Sunday. You think they're the backbone of your success. But to a buyer, that whale is really a ticking time bomb. Think about it from the buyer's perspective. Let's look through the lens of a buyer. They're about to wire you $1 million or millions of dollars. They're looking for reasons not to do the deal. If they see that one single person, that one client holds the power to gut your business by 40% just by switching vendors, they aren't going to pay you a premium. They're going to haircut your valuation or worse, just walk away entirely. And it happens way more often than you think it does. If any single client represents more than 15% of your revenue, your mission for the next 12 months is to dilute them, not by losing them, keep the whale, but by aggressively growing everything else. You want to be able to tell a buyer if our biggest client leaves tomorrow, we're still profitable and we're still growing. That confidence is what buys you a higher multiple. It's the difference between a job for sale and an asset for sale. How about recurring versus reoccurring revenue? Sounds funny, but here we go. Next, let's talk about the quality of your revenue. Not all dollars are created equally. There's a massive difference between reoccurring revenue and recurring revenue. Reoccurring revenue is when a customer comes back to you because they like you. You're a great plumber, so they call you every time a pipe bursts. That's good, but it's not bankable. You start every single month at zero, hoping the phone rings. Recurring revenue is contractual. It's the subscription. It's the maintenance plan. It's the SaaS model. It's the customer who is contractually obligated to pay you every month until they physically call to cancel. Buyers crave predictability. They pay a massive premium for sleep at night revenue. If you can pivot even 20% of your transactional business into a subscription model, you haven't just increased your profit, you fundamentally changed the multiple of your entire company. Look at your service right now. If you're a landscaper, for example, stop selling mows and start selling annual estate management. If you're a consultant, stop selling projects and start selling retainers. You want to show the buyer a graph of guaranteed income for the next 3 years. That's how you get to that $4 million mark. How about the clean house premium? Now let's get tactical. Let's talk about your data room. Imagine you're buying a used car. You show up and the owner says it's pristine, but when you open the glove box, there are no service records. The trunk is full of trash, the oil is black. Even if the car runs great, are you going to pay top dollar? Of course not. You're going to lowball them because you don't trust the history. Underline the word trust. Your business is the car. The due diligence process is the buyer looking in your glove box. If a buyer asks for your employee contracts, your IP assignments, or your 3-year P&L, and it takes you 2 weeks to find them, or worse, they're handwritten or buried in a messy Dropbox, you are bleeding money. Professionalism equals trust. Trust equals a higher price. Start dressing the bird now. Get your books audited by a third party. Make sure every employee is signed a non compete or a non disclosure. Clean up your legal docs. When a buyer enters your virtual data room and sees everything organized, labeled, and transparent, they realize they're dealing with a pro. They stop looking for gotchas and start looking for the checkbook. Part 5, the valuation gap and wrap up. Your homework this week is a bit of a reality check. I want you to sit down with your trailing 12 months of revenue and calculate your concentration percentage. Who are your top 3 clients? What percentage of the pie do they own? If it's over 20% for any one of them, that is your new number one policy and priority. And second, look at your revenue and ask, how much of this is guaranteed to come in next month if I don't pick up the phone? In our next episode, we're moving away from the spreadsheets and into the mirror. We're going to talk about the identity crisis that hits every founder the moment they sell. Because believe it or not, the hardest part of the $4 million exit isn't getting the money, it's figuring out who you are once the business is gone. I'm Eric Gilbord, and this